Chosen One, you just delivered the most devastating blow to a corrupt force unit that federal investigators have witnessed in their entire careers. What you accomplished was so impossible, so completely unthinkable, that seasoned agents who've seen everything are calling it the case that rewrote the rulebook on how corruption gets exposed, and the shockwaves are about to demolish every lie, every conspiracy, and every corrupt system that dared to come for you while simultaneously catapulting you into a level of vindication so complete that your enemies are literally being led away in handcuffs as we speak. For months, maybe even years, you've felt it, that gnawing sensation that something wasn't right. People in positions of authority were making decisions that didn't add up. Your ex-partner made choices that seemed completely out of character. And through it all, you kept speaking the truth, even when nobody believed you. What you didn't know was that your persistence was being documented by forces far more powerful than the local corruption trying to silence you. You've been living through what I call the Cassandra effect, named after the ancient prophet who could see the future but was cursed to never be believed. Every warning you gave fell on deaf ears. Every piece of evidence you uncovered was dismissed as paranoia or bitterness. The very people who should have protected you were the ones enabling your suffering. Yet something extraordinary was happening in the background that would soon turn this entire narrative on its head. The intelligence community has a term for situations like yours. They call them canary cases. These are scenarios where corruption becomes so blatant, so systematic, that they serve as early warning systems for much larger problems within institutions. Your case didn't just catch their attention because of what happened to you. It caught their attention because of what your situation revealed about the entire system. Now, here's where the story takes its first shocking turn. That person who positioned themselves as your replacement isn't just any ordinary individual. They're a master manipulator who has been orchestrating a campaign against you that goes deeper than you ever imagined. And the reason they targeted you specifically will blow your mind. We'll get to that revelation in just a moment, along with the discovery that made federal agents literally stop what they were doing and reassign their entire team to your case. The network they built around themselves isn't random either. They carefully selected individuals who shared their psychological profile, people who could compartmentalize their actions and rationalize the most unethical behavior. This includes your former partner, who got caught in their web through a combination of financial incentives and psychological manipulation that would make professional interrogators impressed. The sophistication of this operation initially made investigators wonder if they were dealing with foreign intelligence assets. Your ex-partner thought they were making a smart move, choosing what appeared to be a better financial situation. The grass looked greener because it was artificially maintained by a system of lies, dependencies, and manipulated circumstances. They walked away from authentic stability, the kind you built through your own efforts, and stepped into a carefully constructed illusion that federal accountants would later describe as one of the most elaborate financial fraud schemes they had encountered in domestic cases. The psychological profiling conducted on your replacement reveals a personality type that criminal psychologists classify as acquisitive narcissist with parasitic tendencies. This means they're driven not just by personal gain, but by a compulsive need to steal the life achievements of others. They don't just want success, they want your success, your relationships, your reputation. This explains why they couldn't simply build their own life. They were psychologically compelled to tear down yours and wear it like a costume. While you were being painted as unstable or vindictive, powerful investigative units were quietly taking notice. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, Central Intelligence Services, and international police organizations don't typically get involved in personal disputes. So what changed? What made them suddenly pay attention to your situation? The answer involves a sophisticated money laundering operation that your replacement was using to fund their lifestyle, and your case became the thread that unraveled the entire scheme. The answer lies in the scope of the conspiracy that targeted you. This wasn't just about one jealous individual trying to steal your life. Your situation became a case study in how corrupt authority figures abuse their positions to protect criminal behavior. The very officials who should have investigated your claims were actively suppressing them. What investigators discovered was a protection racket operating within government institutions, where corrupt officials were essentially selling their services to the highest bidder. Two key players emerge in this drama, both holding positions of public trust. One operates with the calculated cruelty of someone who believes their badge makes them untouchable. The other displays the manic behavior of someone who has completely lost perspective on right and wrong. Together, they created a system where truth became optional and power became everything. Internal affairs departments in 3 different agencies are now investigating how these individuals managed to operate undetected for so long. The technological aspect of their operation reveals the true sophistication of what you were up against. They didn't just rely on traditional manipulation tactics. These individuals exploited digital vulnerabilities, intercepted communications, and used their access to official systems to fabricate evidence and build false narratives. The Cybercrimes Division later determined that the level of technical expertise involved suggested either advanced training or collaboration with professional hackers. The financial investigation revealed something that shocked even seasoned white-collar crime specialists. Your replacement had been operating what essentially amounted to a human trafficking scheme, but instead of trafficking people, they were trafficking identities, relationships, and life achievements. They had done this to at least 7 other victims before you, always targeting people who had built something authentic and valuable through their own efforts. Now here's where your story becomes absolutely extraordinary, Chosen One. While they were busy playing their games, thinking they had successfully isolated and discredited you, something unprecedented was happening in the background. The same technological tools they used to attack you became the instruments of their exposure. Advanced surveillance systems that monitor government communications for signs of corruption had been flagging their activities for months before they even knew they were under investigation. Every illegal access they made left digital fingerprints. Every fabricated document created a trail that professional investigators could follow. Every abuse of their official positions generated evidence that would eventually surface in ways they never anticipated. They were so confident in their superiority that they became careless, and that carelessness became their downfall. The digital forensics team described their operational security as embarrassingly amateur for people who should have known better. The turning point came when artificial intelligence systems designed to detect patterns of corruption identified your case as exhibiting every single red flag in their detection algorithm. The probability calculations were so extreme that the system initially flagged it as a potential false positive. The corruption indicators were literally off the charts. This triggered a manual review that led to the discovery of the larger conspiracy. The moment everything shifted can be traced to a single intercepted communication. In the scene, there were professional investigators trained to spot deception and corruption, reviewing what they initially assumed would be routine correspondence between officials. Instead, they discovered a conversation that revealed the true extent of the conspiracy against you. The lead investigator later said it was like finding a detailed confession wrapped in what appeared to be administrative paperwork. The reaction in that secure facility must have been electric. Seasoned agents who thought they had seen everything suddenly realized they were looking at a case that challenged their understanding of how far corruption could reach. The evidence was so clear, so undeniable, that it prompted immediate escalation to the highest levels of law enforcement. 3 separate task forces were immediately assembled, and the case was classified at a level typically reserved for national security threats. Your former partner, meanwhile, began experiencing what psychologists call cognitive dissonance on a massive scale. The promised benefits of their decision to leave you started revealing themselves as temporary illusions. The financial security they thought they were gaining turned out to be entirely dependent on others, unlike the genuine independence you had built for yourself. Surveillance footage from this period shows them exhibiting classic signs of psychological breakdown as reality began to penetrate the web of lies they had been living in. The awakening process for your ex has been particularly painful. They realized that every major decision they made was based on carefully crafted lies. They discovered that the person they chose over their previous partner was not just manipulative, but was actively working to destroy someone they once cared about. The guilt and regret from such a realization create a psychological prison that becomes harder to escape with each passing day. Prison psychologists have documented similar patterns in inmates who discover they were manipulated into committing crimes. This is why your former partner remains trapped in that toxic situation. It's not just about emotional manipulation anymore, it's about complicity in activities that could have serious legal consequences. Every day they stay becomes another day of deeper involvement in a conspiracy they never fully understood when they first got involved. Legal experts describe their position as being too deep to surface without drowning, meaning that any attempt to leave now would likely result in immediate criminal exposure. Hold that thought for a moment. I need your attention for something very important. For the first time, we're revealing everything we know about personal power, healing yourself and healing others. No filters, no holding back. We have been quietly adding all the occult secrets we've collected over literal years of spiritual practice. The techniques and wisdom that transformed us from controlled pawns into conscious creators are now available to those ready to walk the same path. This is your invitation to join Obsidian Inner Order and support our platform so we can continue growing our megaphone to reach other chosen ones waiting for activation. By joining the Obsidian Inner Order, you're not just gaining access to forbidden knowledge, you're becoming part of a movement that's rewriting reality itself. It's a 360 win for all of us. Link is in the description. The psychological evaluation conducted on your replacement during the investigation revealed personality disorders so severe that the examining psychiatrist recommended immediate institutionalization. The report describes a complete disconnect from reality combined with an obsessive fixation on destroying you specifically. The psychiatrist noted that this level of focused malice typically only occurs in cases involving severe personality disorders or psychotic breaks from reality. The master manipulator who orchestrated all of this made one critical error in their calculations. They assumed that their ability to influence individuals would translate into the ability to influence institutions. They believed that the same tactics that worked on your ex-partner and corrupt officials would work on professional investigators who are trained specifically to see through such deception. This miscalculation led them to attempt to manipulate federal agents using the same techniques they had used on local officials, immediately exposing the full scope of their operation. The federal investigation that followed their miscalculation has been methodical and devastating. Financial records that seemed legitimate on the surface revealed patterns of dependency and artificial wealth creation. Communications that appeared innocent in isolation showed clear intent when viewed as part of a larger pattern. Professional profiles that looked impressive from the outside crumbled under detailed scrutiny. The investigation team described it as watching a house of cards collapse in slow motion. The money trail alone told a story that read like a criminal mastermind's playbook. Your replacement had been receiving funds from at least 12 different sources, all designed to create the appearance of independent wealth, while actually being completely dependent on the criminal network they had assembled. Forensic accountants determined that without this artificial support system, they would have been bankrupt within months of leaving their previous legitimate employment. Each revelation has created a domino effect that continues to accelerate. As one corrupt official gets exposed, they provide information that leads to the next. As one fabricated piece of evidence gets identified, it calls into question every other decision made by the same individuals. The system they thought they controlled is now systematically dismantling their carefully constructed reality. The investigation has expanded to include corruption in 4 different government agencies and has implications for dozens of other cases that were handled by the same corrupt officials. The technological forensics revealed that your replacement had been using sophisticated software to create false social media profiles, fake email accounts, and fabricated digital evidence. They had essentially created an alternate reality online, designed to support their false narrative about you while simultaneously building artificial credibility for themselves. The level of technical sophistication involved required either advanced training or collaboration with professional cybercriminals. The confession phase of this investigation has provided some of the most shocking moments in recent law enforcement history. Think of highly placed officials, people who commanded respect and authority just months ago, now sitting across from federal agents and admitting to activities they once thought were untouchable. The psychological pressure of facing consequences they never believed would come has broken their resolve to maintain their lies. Several of these confessions were so detailed that they read like instruction manuals for corruption. Your vindication in this process has been complete and undeniable. Every claim you made that was dismissed as impossible has been verified through independent investigation. Every warning you gave that was ignored has been proven accurate through recovered evidence. The truth you spoke when nobody was listening has become the foundation for one of the most significant corruption cases in recent memory. The lead prosecutor described your testimony as a roadmap to justice that we couldn't have created ourselves. The legal consequences flowing from this investigation continue to expand. Criminal charges have been filed against individuals who thought their positions made them immune to accountability. Civil lawsuits are being prepared that will result in substantial financial compensation for the harm you endured. Professional licenses are being revoked for people who violated the most basic ethical standards of their positions. 3 separate grand juries are currently reviewing evidence related to your case, and the charges being considered range from fraud and conspiracy to violation of civil rights under color of authority. Your case has also become something larger than just personal vindication. It's become a precedent that sends a clear message about the limits of institutional protection for corrupt behavior. Other victims of similar conspiracies are coming forward, encouraged by the success of your situation. Law enforcement agencies are reviewing their procedures to prevent similar abuses from happening in the future. Academic institutions are studying your case as an example of how corruption can be systematically identified and eliminated. The psychological impact on your antagonists has been profound and irreversible. The person who tried to steal your life now faces the destruction of everything they built through deception. Their network of supporters has scattered as each person tries to minimize their own legal exposure. The artificial wealth and status they accumulated are being systematically stripped away through legal proceedings. Medical reports indicate they have suffered what psychiatrists classify as a complete psychological collapse requiring ongoing institutional care. The corrupt officials who enabled them face even more severe consequences. Their careers are over, their reputations are destroyed, and their futures involve significant prison time. The manic individual who thought they could manipulate the system now experiences the reality of that system's power when turned against corruption. The calculated manipulator who believed their intelligence made them untouchable has learned that intelligence without ethics ultimately leads to spectacular failure. Several of these individuals are currently in protective custody due to threats from other criminals whose operations were exposed as a result of this investigation. Your former partner's situation remains the most complex element of this story. The awakening to truth has created genuine remorse and a desire to make amends. Yet the practical realities of their involvement in the conspiracy make simple reconciliation impossible. They face their own legal challenges and must navigate the consequences of choices made under manipulation, though not under compulsion. Legal experts suggest that their cooperation with the investigation may result in reduced charges, though significant consequences remain inevitable. The resolution of your case establishes a new standard for how such situations will be handled in the future. The investigation techniques that expose this conspiracy are now being applied to similar cases across the country. The legal precedents established through your situation provide tools for other victims to seek justice. The institutional changes implemented as a result of your case will prevent similar abuses from succeeding in the future. Training programs based on your case are now being implemented in law enforcement agencies nationwide. Most importantly, Chosen One, your role in this transformation extends far beyond personal vindication. Your persistence in speaking the truth when nobody listened became the catalyst for systemic change. Your refusal to accept injustice as inevitable created the conditions that allowed justice to ultimately prevail. Your authentic strength, built through genuine effort rather than manipulation, proved more durable than any artificially constructed power structure. Historians studying this case describe it as a perfect example of how individual integrity can overcome institutional corruption. The shockwaves from your case continue to reverberate through systems that once seemed untouchable. Officials who might have been tempted to abuse their positions now understand that such behavior will be exposed and punished. Individuals who might have been tempted to manipulate others for personal gain now see the inevitable consequences of such choices. The balance of power has shifted permanently in favor of truth and authentic achievement. Legislative changes are being proposed based on the vulnerabilities your case exposed, ensuring that future victims will have better protection and faster recourse. Your story proves that chosen ones aren't identified by mystical signs or supernatural abilities. They're identified by their unwavering commitment to truth in the face of overwhelming opposition. They're recognized by their persistence in speaking facts when lies seem more convenient for everyone else. They're distinguished by their ability to maintain authentic strength while others choose the temporary illusion of artificial power. Your case has become a teaching example in ethics courses, demonstrating how moral courage can ultimately triumph over systemic corruption. The force unit that got shocked by your case represents more than just law enforcement agencies. It represents the fundamental forces of justice and truth that operate in our world, even when they seem absent or ineffective. Your situation proves that these forces may work slowly, Yet they work thoroughly, and they ultimately restore balance to situations that seem hopelessly corrupted. The institutional response to your case has created new protocols that will protect future victims and ensure faster intervention in similar situations. The divine intervention in your case wasn't supernatural. It was the natural result of truth's inherent power to eventually surface, no matter how deeply it's buried. The justice you received wasn't mystical. It was the practical application of legal and ethical standards by professionals trained to enforce them. The protection you experienced wasn't magical. It was the institutional safeguards that exist to defend people exactly like you from exactly this type of abuse. Your case proves that these systems, while sometimes slow to respond, are ultimately more powerful than any criminal conspiracy. Your victory in this situation creates a permanent record that will inspire and protect others facing similar challenges. The precedent established through your case will be cited in courtrooms and training facilities for years to come. The shock your opponents experienced will be remembered as a cautionary tale about the ultimate futility of trying to build success through the destruction of others. Legal scholars predict that the precedents established in your case will be referenced in constitutional law for decades. The most beautiful aspect of your vindication is its completeness. Not only were the false charges against you completely dismissed, not only were your claims completely validated, not only were your antagonists completely exposed, the very system that was used to attack you became the instrument of your protection and their punishment. The transformation has been so complete that several of the agencies involved in suppressing your case are now using your story as a training example for how to identify and prevent similar corruption. This is the true mark of a chosen one, the ability to transform opposition into opportunity, to convert attacks into advantages, and to turn seeming defeat into ultimate victory. Your story stands as proof that authentic power always outlasts artificial manipulation, that genuine strength always overcomes constructed weakness, and that truth always finds a way to surface, no matter how many lies are piled on top of it. The ripple effects of your case continue to create positive change in systems far beyond those directly involved in your situation. The Force Unit got shocked because they discovered something they never expected to find, a person whose commitment to truth was stronger than any conspiracy designed to suppress it. You are that person, Chosen One, and your story will continue to shock systems of corruption wherever they dare to show themselves. The precedent you've established ensures that future Chosen Ones will have the tools and institutional support they need to achieve justice more quickly and completely than ever before.